What is up, YouTube? So with the release of the new god, I wanted to release a guide. Well, I just said release twice. I wanted to release a guide pretty much as fast as possible. I've been playing this god a shit ton. Played it on PTS a lot, and I've just recently started playing a fuck ton again on live. The god can be played in the ADC role, which as of right now is probably his main role realistically, because his clear is insane. If his 2 gets nerfed, there's a chance that he goes to a main jungle. He can be played very easily in the jungle role, extremely easily. I will explain why. He's good neutral in a second. He can be played in the mid role, in ranked and fun games and casuals and shit. He can be played in the solo lane very easily. In competitive, I see him being a hunter until the clear is nerfed, and a jungler right now and after the clear is nerfed. He's very, very strong. So, the reasoning behind this, the idea behind this is for a jungler, you have your 1, which is OP. If you don't understand this, we're going to go over the abilities real quick. Let me go ahead and drop this stuff off the screen so you guys can see a little bit better. Okay, so your 1. It's buffing your auto attacks and just your auto attacks. Simple as that when you think about it. Now, it can do one of 4 things. You get to choose which thing you want it to do. It can give you lifesteal, and you can see the scaling right there, 8 to 20%. It can give you extra damage, which is the summer heat, which is your second one. These each have a color, by the way. So the second one will give you extra damage on your auto attacks. Then you have your autumn decay, which is you basically have penetration on the target you hit with, and it lasts for 5 seconds. So 1 auto attack will put the debuff on somebody for 5 seconds. And then you have your 4th stance, if you want to call it, not a stance, your 4th color, your 4th auto attack thing, which is a slow, scaling from 7 to 15%. The idea behind this is a good player will combo these uses of your auto attacks. You will usually, in a real situation, want to get the penetration up, right? Because it's a 5-second debuff. So you land an auto attack in your autumn stance, which is orange, it's your 3rd stance, and then you quick cycle through to your summer heat. You're going to be looking at max damage in that situation. You can always cycle through to your lifesteal if you're trying to lifesteal more. You can cycle through to your slow if you're trying to just control the target. My main combo is going from Autumn Decay, getting the debuff up, 1 auto, get it up, switch into Summer Heat, and just start auto attacking as hard as possible. Now, the thing about this god that is unique is his passive. So his auto attacks do like an AoE cleave in melee range. So on jungle camps, you can hit all 3 of them. It does 25% of your basic attack for extra damage. Extra damage. It's not nerfing or doing anything. You're doing 25% extra damage in melee range. So if you're in melee range on a god, you're hitting them for 25% of your basic attack damage on top of your bonus damage from your 1, on top of your auto attack damage, and on top of any items you have. Now, with the 2, you've got a ranged root with a lot of burst damage, not a lot of burst damage, a decent amount of burst damage with some tick dot damage. It ticks 10 times, which is ridiculous. It does a lot of damage. It is very high scaling. That is very important about this. Your 3rd ability is a dash. It goes through targets, which is what is key to this god being good pretty much anywhere, in my opinion. It has very high scaling, so it does hit hard. It is on a longer cooldown, though. And like I said, this god works very well because you can dash through people. Whereas like Medusa, you dash through, you have to hit somebody. Ul, if you're trying to jump away, you have to switch to that stance, and then you have the air time of you jumping. Granted, you can go over walls, but besides that, I'd much rather have this ability. It's a very quick dash. It's a long dash. It does damage. Has high scaling for late game if you ever use it to last hit somebody or just finish somebody off. And like I said, it's very good for mobility, very good for getting away. And your ultimate kind of round outs the kit to being ridiculously good. You have an ultimate that hits very hard, has extremely high scaling, 90%. It does have a long cooldown, but it CCs the target. It basically silences them and disarms them for 2 seconds. They turn into little piggies, and all they can do is move around. Can't use any abilities, can't auto attack, can't do anything. So you essentially have self-peel out of an ult. It's a very big circle, and it's range. You can throw it out a little ways in front of you, behind you, whatever. Then you have pretty good mobility for a hunter, especially when in the middle of a fight, you just dash through everybody and get the fuck out. Then you have more peel for yourself. You self-peel on the root with a lot of damage. And then you have an insanely good auto attack buff on an auto attack god. It just works out very, very well. Now, I've been going one of 2 builds. I always go Warrior Tabby, and then I will pick up Itch of All just because it works really well with the 1. You're doing extra damage. It's a cheap item, which is what makes it amazing. The cheapness of the item is what makes it fantastic. I then go Fatalis because Fatalis is so strong. You then have double pen. You've got movement speed, attack speed, You have the Fatalis effect, which is insane, and it works out very well. I then go into Kins, because having the Kins proc on top of more attack speed, on top of more power, on top of your 1 procking, on top of the melee range extra 25% damage, it just adds up to a very high number. Then I go into my lifesteal. I've been picking up Aussie. If you're pretty far ahead or you're not worried about getting lifesteal online right away, you can go Bloodforge and go for the extra power, which I do really like. I just think it's really expensive and I'd rather go for a cheaper build. So I go Aussie for lifesteal, get more pen, and then I round out the build with even more penetration and get Titan's Bane. Mainly because you're going to sell the Ichival. Once you get to this build is fairly cheap. So you will then sell Ichival and get Oboe. Or if you're looking for some penetration, not penetration, sorry, some anti-healing, you can go for Brawlers. That'll get you the power, which is really nice. You have options in selling Ichival, but Oboe or Brawlers are usually going to be my go-to. You could even pick up a really late, what's the item called? I always forget. Crusher. So you get a little bit of CDR-ish on your abilities, but that's not key. The Ichival and the Oboe are key, and this is one of my favorite builds. It's very quick. You get it online fast. You do a lot of damage. The other build I have been messing around with, and I do like as well, it's just a lot more expensive. It's a shit ton more expensive. I go Transcendence. Even though mana isn't that important on this god, you get a lot of power with Transcendence, which is sick. I then go Fatalis. It gives you the missing pen, a little bit of missing pen, plus the Fatalis effect, plus the attack speed you're losing out on. I then like to go into that Concise, just because it's extra damage, it's extra attack speed. Granted, most people don't do Transcendence and Kins anymore. I don't really know. The new builds might be changing more and more. But this was like a no-no for a little while. I like it a lot, especially on this god. It works out really well. And then as I was saying, I like Bloodforge. It's just this build is so expensive. You get 2,600 gold, 23, 27, 28. It'll take you forever to finish this build. But in the event that you're really far ahead or you're just going for a super late game build because you're just AFK farming, this build is fun as shit. It hits so freaking hard. It's insane. It hits insanely hard. I don't even know what to tell you. It's crazy. So this is my build that I've been messing with, as well as the Ichival build. For abilities, I always level up. Well, here, let me do this. Let me do a starter item. Always in the starter in the jungle, I've been going Bumba's Bluestone. The Bluestone procs on the 2. You get it on the full wave. It adds a lot of extra damage. It gives you a little bit of mana sustain. It's not necessary, but it's nice. And then I start with 2 health pots. 2 health pots and 2 multi-pots. As I said, he's not super mana intensive, and you want to fight a lot, especially early with a root and extra damage on your 1, and being in melee range causes you to do more damage. So I tend to pop both these pots when I'm fighting a lot at level 1. Plus, you clear on the tower. Start mid with your mage, clear on the tower. Literally stand on the tower, make sure no one loops behind you, but stand on the tower, auto attack the wave down, double clear with your abilities, run and steal their buffs. It's probably the fastest clear you will get out of a jungle mage combo in mid. If we're being realistic, just because you actually clear the wave as it gets onto their tower. It's not even off the tower. Works out really well. So I start with a 2 for wave clear. I level the 1, usually switch it into the autumn stance, the summer stance. That's the extra power. I then level up my 3 for mobility to be safe, max the 2, then go alt, maxing the 2 as I said, maxing the 1 after that. I go 2 and 1 before leveling up the alt again. Like I said, it's a little bit more damage. It is nice to have the extra damage, but it's not end all be all. You much rather have your 1 and your 2 online good to go. I then go with the alts because your 3 use it as an escape more than a damage dealing ability. So we're maxing out Wild Hunt, maxing out Horn Charge, and there is your ability guide. Not too difficult, not too complex, nothing to worry about really. So for your matchups, it can be really easy almost every game, and then you can run into a few matchups you really don't like, you really will not like. Gods that get on top of you very easily can be fucking annoying. That just consistently get on top of you and aren't threatened or don't have trouble with anything. Gods that, because you have a leap or you don't have a leap, you can't get away from as easily. So Fenrir can be a pain in the ass. Extreme pain in the ass. Because Brutalize is going to follow your 3. You do have self-peel, but the root really isn't going to do shit for you. Fenrir is going to be just fine sticking to you, honestly. Wheelix can also be annoying. Rat can be somewhat annoying, and Sir Cat can be somewhat annoying. The other gods I really don't hate, honestly. I don't mind playing against many of the other gods. It's just really good players on those gods suck. One thing with Rat, he's probably actually lower tier out of all those gods I mentioned. He's probably the one I actually wouldn't mind playing against out of those. When he's ulting and you know he's going to land on you, you can drop your ult early because it has a delayed effect. It doesn't go off right away. It kind of, You drop it on the ground, and it shows a circle that zooms, like sucks in, and then boom, they're all turned into little piggies. So with Rat, when he's ulting on you, you drop your ult right before he lands, and then Rat turns into a piggy and does no damage. Same thing with Thor. Same thing with a lot of gods that combo off of their leaps, their jumps, their ultimate. As for all the other matchups, out of the jungle, I don't mind anything. I really enjoy farming all the fucking matchups. Good Hercules can be frustrating because he can stand in your face, but you do have that self peel. And then if a mana can be super annoying because mana has the immunity on the ultimate and can just run at your ass and fuck you up. No mages bother me at all. You should be able to play around all of them. Poseidon shouldn't be terrible. He's really easy to kill in my opinion. And as for Guardians, Guardians are tanky, but for the most part, you will shred them with your protection shred and your extra damage. Avoid melee range unless you know it's safe. And if you know it's safe, get in melee range and shit on them with that passive. It will do an insane amount of work. It'll just do a crazy amount of work. I can't stress that enough. People in streams and people on Reddit and wherever the fuck you read about this new god will talk a lot about the first ability that we covered. We talked about it a bit, right? I'm gonna jump onto it real quick. So, first ability. Here you go. You can read a little bit better here. There's the 4 stances, and you're only in one stance. You can change whenever you want. It's very quick change. It says cooldown's 0.5 seconds, but realistically, that's just because your auto attacks are going to go out in what color. You can spam change them very fast. People are going to comment a lot about the right way. You need to switch around your stances, blah, 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 blah. I don't usually go into lifesteal stance until very late game. The double lifesteal item plus this is pretty nice. It does a lot of work for you, and it is easy to sustain off of it. But it's very rare I sit in lifesteal stance at all, especially early game. Almost never in lifesteal stance. Summer Heat is the stance I'm in 95% of the time. I like Autumn's Decay for the penetration that we talked about, throwing up the debuff. It works really well. The ideal rotation is throwing up your 3 and then your 2. And then the slow is used maybe not even 1% of the time. I throw out a couple of slows just to let my teammates catch up to somebody or just to be annoying to lock them down, especially when they don't have boots. But it's very rare. Staying in Summer Heat will give you the most extra damage. You'll just sit there doing a lot of fucking damage all the time. So I run around with that up most of the time. If you know what you're doing, you know the target you're going to kill, you know you're going to auto them a few times, maybe more than, if you think you're going to land more than 2 or 3 autos, make sure you get up Autumn Decay, swap over to Summer Heat, use it, and swap into Spring Growth if you need to sustain. That is your ideal kind of rotation. The Winter's Chill is nice to throw up, but it's not necessary. The slow is not that dramatic, especially since you have Fatalis effect. You should be able to sit on somebody and shit on them with the Summer Heat up and just take over the fucking game. The god scaling is so high, damage is so high, self-peel is so high, and clear potential is so high that he will be a top pick. So unless you see major nerfs, expect this god to be played in the ADC, jungle, mid, solo, every fucking where, maybe even a support. Who the fuck knows? Hopefully this guide helps you, especially since this god just came out. Let me know in the comments below other stuff you want me to talk about in these videos. I know there's got to be something I'm missing, but I can't think of it. I need your all's help for that. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're giving away a shit ton of gems, 8,000 gems at 85,000 subs, or 5K away. I think we're really close. Also, make sure you hit the like button to let me know you want more of this fucking content. The more like buttons you hit, the more I know I need to do this content, that content, whatever you're liking. Hit the button. It takes 2 seconds. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Just let me know. I need to know these things. It's important. I will see you all in the video tomorrow, or possibly later on today. We'll see.